The preliminaries are over. It's playoff time at the Worlds. For the last 5 years, Team Canada has been in a quarterfinal quandary that you could also call a quarterfinal curse.
Finland wins it, 3-2, Canada out.
5 straight years, one and done in the playoff round. 5 straight years of frustration, devastation, no celebration. But that 5-year drought could end today because this Canadian team seems different.
Canada will go to the medal round with a perfect record.
Undefeated so far, undisputed firepower. In their way today, Belarus, a team they have always beaten. Can Canada finally lift the quarterfinal cloud, or will a Canadian-born goalie and Canadian-born coach keep the curse alive? Canada, Belarus, the quarterfinals are here. Hello, Canada. Welcome to the World Championship quarterfinals. We'll send you to Prague and the Czech Republic in a moment, where Sidney Crosby returns to the lineup. Had a day off against Austria. Canada perfect. Captain Crosby looking for triple gold, Olympic, World, and Stanley Cups. You saw Mike Smith in net, Kevin Lalonde, Canadian-born, Alexei Kaluzhny, the veteran. Belarus and Canada. Canada has never lost to Belarus before at the Worlds. Hi, everybody. Rod Black along with Dave Reed. Welcome to our World Championship quarterfinal coverage. Team USA is on the ice right now on TSN 2 against Switzerland. It is 1-0 for Switzerland, but this is the quarterfinal day. This has been a bane for Team Canada the last 5 years.
But this is going to be different, Rod, and the reason I say that is because they have a player on this team, Sidney Crosby, who is at this tournament to win a gold medal, to go along with his Stanley Cup and his Olympic gold. He wants to be a member of the elusive triple gold club. This hasn't happened in the past. I see a lot more focus on this team than I think this team has shown in the last 4 or 5 years.
He's got 2 of 3. We have all the games for you, and again, a game going on TSN 2 right now. The U.S. trailing Switzerland. Roman Josi has the goal for Switzerland, 1-0. Canada, Belarus getting ready to roll here. And later today, we have Sweden and Russia, Finland and Czech Republic. Again, it's been 5 long years since Canada advanced to the semifinals at the Worlds. Belarus looking for a monumental upset in this game today. The men who will call it for you in Prague, Gord Miller and Ray Ferraro.
Belarus has shown some flashes so far in the tournament, playing on the B side of this tournament, and a dangerous opponent, Ray.
Yeah, they've only had one bad game in the tournament, where their head coach Dave Lewis felt when they got pounded by the Russians that they were looking to get autographs signed for the first part of the game. They shouldn't be quite so nervous now as they get to the quarterfinals, which is an excellent result for them. But they can score, and they like to fly the zone for a couple of quick hitters if they can once they get possession of the puck. Most of their offense will run through the Kostitsyn brothers, who we know from North American, and a 37-year-old legend, Alexei Kaluzhny, who has 5 goals and 5 assists in the tournament. Belarus can be dangerous, but this is really, again, about Canada and how much of their will they can impose on the game.
The greatest hockey moment for Belarus internationally, unquestionably, in Salt Lake City in 2002, the quarterfinal upset of Sweden. Alexei Kaluzhny played in that game for Belarus.
Well, here he is again today. Here's Team Canada's lineup. So much offense.
49 goals in their 7 games. In 6 of those 7 games, this group has scored 6+ goals per game. And there isn't a team in this tournament that comes close to the offense that Canada brings to the. It's amazing. It's line after line. It's defense. It's everybody.
And it's not just artistic impression, by the way. They do it by crashing the net. Everybody contributes. Nobody has been the star of this Worlds.
You're absolutely right. 16 of the 21 skaters for Team Canada have scored a goal. Yes, they can get it done on the power play when they have their extra man. They're just as good 5-on-5. And how about this young defenseman, Aaron Ekblad, has really stepped up, not only defensively, but offensively in this tournament. This is a team that scores. This is a team that moves the puck quickly out of their own zone, flies through the neutral zone, and attacks the net. Against Austria, they scored 10. They could have easily scored 15. Todd McClellan has has this team really clicking offensively.
Such a unique story in net for Belarus is Kevin Lalonde, who was born in Kingston, grew up in the Clarence Creek, Ontario area, played in Belleville, went to the KHL.
Amazing how the hockey world just seems to blend. Kevin Lalonde played 3 years up and down in the East Coast League, American Hockey League, found that he wasn't going to get his opportunity in the National League, went to Minsk, had to play in Minsk for a few years to get his nationalization for Belarus. Played last year in Minsk in the World Championships, lost 3-2 to Sweden in the quarterfinal. Now he finds himself playing against Canada, where he was born. Great story, has had a tremendous season, was the #1 goals against average with, now he's playing with Moscow CSK in the KHL. So he is here for a reason. He is one of the best goalies in Europe.
The boys talked about Kaluzhny, who was going to be a factor, but look out for the Kostitsyn brothers.
Always look out for the Kostitsyn brothers, not only offensively, but also physically. Both of the Kostitsyns, Andre and Sergei. Andre, more known for his scoring. He was 10th overall for Montreal in 03. But these guys can not only score, they are agitators. They get under your skin. They can play dirty, as Andre got suspended for that hit. But yes, they are always going to be a factor when you play Belarus. The Kostitsyns are the type of players that if you take your eye off them, they're going to run you over. And if you take your eye off them around the net, they're going to put the puck in the back of the net. Two of the best players, best offensive players for Belarus.
Everybody's talking about Canada's offense. Let's not forget about the blue line, led by a number of players, including Brent Burns, who is standing by with Brian Mudryk.
Brent, this is what you guys have worked so hard for. How excited are you guys for the challenge ahead?
Yeah, I think this is, like you said, we've been here for a couple of weeks, and this is what it comes down to. It's we've had some tough luck in the past, but we feel really good with our group and looking forward to getting going.
That Kostitsyn line is pretty powerful. They have 26 points in the tournament. What do you guys have to do to make sure they don't get time and space out there?
Yeah, make it hard on them. I think take away their time. Make sure that they don't have a lot of time to make plays. That's their strength. So make hockey not fun for them for the next 60.
Thanks. Good luck.
I like that little pocket tie.
Look at Brent Burns. Don't you have a hockey game to concentrate on, Grizzly Adams? That beard looks great. Matt Duchesne. What great hands. Team Canada, Belarus, gearing up for the quarters.
The 2015 IIHF World Hockey Championship from Prague and Ostrava, Czech Republic is brought to
Afinogenov moves in, shoots, scores! Oh, can they score? Creeping in from the side is Pavel Datsuk. In front, Malkin shoots, scores! Radulov with it behind the net, centers, and Kovalchuk shoots and scores! And Russia is going to win it.
Sekera shoots, scores! Michael Jesus and the Slovaks grab the lead.
Frederick Pettersson gets the call. Wow! How about that guy? Here's a chance for the Finns coming in. Pekarinen shoots, scores! And it's 3-2 Finland.
5 straight years of futility in the quarterfinals at the Worlds. Our starting goalies, brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Rod, we're going to have our largest population watching this game. Kingston, Ontario. Both Mike Smith and Kevin Lalonde are from Kingston, Ontario. It's the Battle of Kingston. Mike Smith for Canada, Lalonde for Belarus. This is a possibility that Lalonde might be seen to play sometime in the National Hockey League sooner than later if he can have a great one here. He's had a super tournament.
Can Canada reverse the curse? We'll find out next.
After a 12-day round-robin portion of the tournament that saw them post a perfect 7-0 record, Team Canada now faces Belarus in the quarterfinal round. And this is where it has ended for Canada. Each of the last 5 years, Canada has been beaten in the quarters. In fact, in the last 4 by 4 different opponents, and Canada has led in each of those 4 games. Belarus has never beaten Canada at the World Championship. A 0-7 mark against the Canadians, whose average margin of victory is 3 goals. Claude Giroux, along with Tyler Seguin, Ryan O'Reilly start up front, and for the Belarusians, it is their top line of Alexei Kaluzhny, along with Sergei and Andre Kostitsyn. And Canada in red is the home team, Belarus in white, and Dmitry Korobov brings it ahead and fires that down wide of Canadian goaltender Mike Smith. Dan Hamhuis, the lone Canadian on the roster who has won a gold medal at the World Championship. He was a member of Canada's team back in 2007, also an Olympic gold medalist. in Sochi 2014.
Not necessarily a need to match line to line on the hard match, but Claude Giroux's line was the line that Todd McClellan had out against the top line for Belarus. Belarus has 20 goals in their tournament. In the preliminary round, only once did they have a real clunker. That was a shutout loss to the Russians.
Their goaltender, Kevin Lalonde, was injured in that game. Lalonde is back now. Coach Dave Lewis of Team Belarus said we played 6 good games and 1 really bad one. Brent Burns in, scores! Just like that, 27 seconds in, Canada has the lead on a goal by Brent Burns.
Well, Dave Lewis wasn't looking for that. He said in the Russian game, he felt like their players were in awe of the Russian players early. Well, they get their first look at Sidney Crosby back in the Canadian lineup, resting in the last game against Austria. Belarus wins the draw, but it's really good work by Taylor Hall to intercept the puck on a simple D-to-D pass. Eberle gets in on the forecheck and separates the defender from the puck. And Brent Burns, who has had an excellent tournament for Canada from the blue line, beats Kevin Lalonde up over the glove. His first goal of the tournament for Brent Burns, and Canada leads 27 seconds in.
Burns was the top defenseman at the 08 World Championship, played in Canada. Talking yesterday about playing on the big ice, he said he's pretty comfortable on it, although sometimes you do get lost. He said you're standing near the boards, you take a blind shot of the net and miss by 7 feet because you're 7 feet further over to the right.
He looks comfortable for me. He's all over the place out there. And one of the things a great skater can do is they can make up ground on the big ice that others can't. And Burns can afford to be aggressive because he's such a good skater.
Now Spezza centers it. Nathan McKinnon had that knocked away. Tyson Barrie plays it around, and Matt Duchesne on it. Duchesne, McKinnon, and Barrie, 3 Colorado players all on the ice together, and Nathan McKinnon picks it out. Works it back in front, shoots on a lawn. Sweeps on away with the blade of his stick. Now Spezza for Duchesne, feeds back in front, and the shot actually goes off the stick of Artem Demkov of Belarus, and Lalonde had to kick it away.
If this is going to be a game at all, Belarus has to get out of the first 10 minutes of the game here.
Flipped down by Jake Muzzin as Tyler Toffoli goes looking for it. Now Toffoli back with it. Also underway at this hour, the United States and Switzerland. The Swiss had 1-0 on a first period goal by Roman Josi.
What a beautiful goal that was, too. Great individual rush.
Later on tonight, the Finns will play the Czechs in this building, and Sweden will face Russia in the final quarterfinal game in Ostrava. Now the play is called offside at the Belarus line. Dave Lewis behind the coach from Belarus, his first year as their national team head coach. 15 years a National Hockey League player. Head coach in Detroit and Boston. And Todd McClellan, who 8 years ago went to Belarus on an exchange program. He was an assistant coach in Detroit at the time.
In that program where players and coaches all intermingled, 7 of those players are playing on the ice today for Belarus. I mean, that's really the reason that you have international exchange programs, to try and encourage and support other nations. And 7 of them from one grouping on the ice today. That's pretty incredible.
From 8 years ago. Now Ryan O'Reilly walks in, bounces it back in front. The pass just missed Giroux, and here's Andre Kostitsyn back the other way. 7 years in the NHL for Andre Kostitsyn. 3-time 20-goal scorer for the Montreal Canadiens.
The word is that he's finally found the way to get himself into better shape, which is just with better effort. He wants to have an attempt at the National Hockey League again.
Pass is picked off by Andre Stas, now sent back down to the Belarus zone, and a nice call against Canada.
So Andre Kostitsyn, the 10th pick in the 03 draft by Montreal, has been one of their better players in the tournament, but he watches his team get down 1-0 early. As you saw Burns, who talked to you, Gord, about getting lost on the big ice, and for him it's because it's unfamiliar. You see how the Belarus winger Gavrus got caught on the outside. Burns stepped in front of him, and there's just no room, or no time rather, to make up that ground that you've been beaten on.
Well, Tyson Barrie was almost in alone, but skying to knock that away was Oleg Goroshko for Belarus. Loose behind the goal as Crosby centers it back to Barrie with a drive, and the save made by Lalonde. Kevin Lalonde, the Ottawa native who played for the Belleville Bulls of the Ontario Hockey League, 5th round pick of Calgary back in 2005. As Crosby brings it in. In comes Crosby, a backhand shot that's gloved by Lalonde, who managed to fast-track his citizenship for Belarus. It only takes about 6 to 7 years to get a passport. He got his in 2.
Might have something to do that the president is a gigantic hockey fan.
And he's got a good glove hand.
that probably didn't hurt him at all. Lalonde was a third goaltender last year, and when Lalonde was on the roster, they gave him a game. He started to play well. He took over the job, helped backbone the team into the quarterfinals last year where they finished 7th, and has really had an excellent tournament. 150 shots in his games so far prior to today, and only 12 goals, and he missed a couple of games in the middle.
Belarus lost in overtime against Slovakia in a shootout against the Finns and won their way into the quarterfinals on the final day with a 3-2 victory over Norway. Matt Duchesne works it back in front, and that pass is picked off by Andre Kostitsin. Kostitsin split his time between Chelyabinsk and H.K. Soshin in the KHL, playing in the old Olympic rink. And Sergei Kostitsin had that knocked away by Hamhuis. Just over 4 gone here in the opening period. Going to be packed tonight for the Czechs and the Finns, as Andre Kostitsin plays it ahead for his brother Sergei, being watched there by Hamhuis. In comes Burns on it. And Brent Burns rings it around. Bounced away from Toffoli. Now back down to the Belarus zone, and Tyler Ennis gets there first to negate the icing. Ennis back on it, works it back in front. Backhands it there, Claude Giroux in the puck bounced off his stick, and now Giroux back with it. Heels back in the corner. Claude Giroux as Canada's changing by some time. And Giroux drops it down for Toffoli. Toffoli centers it, and O'Reilly was knocked down. Jake Muzzin steps up. Muzzin. A little rolling puck, looks around. Feeds it back. There's Giroux with a chance. He waits. Claude Giroux walks in and shoots. That was partly blocked by Goroshko and scooped up by Alexei Kaluzhny, the 37-year-old. Banks that ahead in a race for it as Mike Smith plays it right back up the ice. O'Reilly chips it there for Sagan. Sagan drops for O'Reilly. And O'Reilly drops it back, takes the return, pass feeds across. Tyson Barrie with a shot. And that's stopped by Lalonde, and he'll hang on.
Good puck movement, good cycle work. Claude Giroux's off to a really nice start today. He's had, at times, a bit of a quiet side to his game offensively. Tyler Sagan, who scored all 5 of his goals in a row. He had a slow start the first couple of games and then exploded in the middle portion of the tournament. And the one thing that Todd McClellan mentioned is they wanted his forwards to play quickly with the puck in the zone, as Belarus defense is really big, not particularly quick.
Artem Demkov came flying in. Belarus beat the United States by a score of 5-2, scored 2 breakaway goals in that game and had 2 more shut down. By the way, goals less than a minute apart by Ben Smith and Charlie Coyle, giving the U.S. a 2-1 lead now on Switzerland in the second period.
That's a young team. They've done a really good job, haven't they, the U.S.?
Centering pass by Crosby, back to the point. David Savard with a shot, stopped by Lalonde. Jordan Eberle plays it down to Hall. Taylor Hall works it down to Crosby. And Sidney Crosby gathers it back up. Shovels that ahead, looking for Aaron Ekblad, who leads all defensemen in his tournament with 4 goals. And Taylor Hall back on it. Leaves it there for Spezza, winds it back up to center ice as Canada finishes the change. In comes Spezza, nifty move. Spezza walks in, shoots, and Lalonde got a piece on that as Jason Spezza walked around Oleg Yavenko of Belarus. Belarus 7th last year under Glenn Hanlon as the head coach. Best ever finish was 6th back in 2006. Now a centering pass for Spezza, fired that wide. And back to pick it up is Nikolai Stasenko for Belarus. Majority of these players play in the KHL, most for Minsk in Belarus. As Duchesne tried to center that for Burns, who had jumped in. Now it's played back out to center ice. Cody Eakin across to Dan Hamhuis, ahead for Nathan McKinnon. In comes McKinnon now with a chance. He shoots, and Lalonde makes the pad save on him. Over 7 gone here in the opening period. Canada with a 1-0 lead and an early goal by Brent Burns. Canada with a 7-1 advantage in shots on goal as Ennis has it. Rink wide he goes for Eakin. Cody Eakin walks in and shoots the long with a pad save, and the rebound kick back to the line. Kept the line for the moment by Muzzin. He finds Barry, centers it, Ennis in, scores! Tyler Ennis gives Canada a 2-0 lead.
Ennis's third is on a beautiful feed from Tyson Barry. Barry shows off his mobility as Canada was rushing up the ice. Barry was in the rush. When Lalonde makes this save, it goes all the way to the blue line. That was Barry by the goal line. He comes all the way back out to the half wall and finds Ennis, who walks right down the middle of the ice and is able to bury the Tyson Barry pass, and it's 2-0.
So Ennis, who scored a huge goal for Canada on the power play against Sweden to make it 5-4, and then come back from 3-0 down. As his third, 2-0 Canada leads. Winner of this game gets the winner of the Czech-Finland game tonight. USA-Switzerland winner will face the winner of Russia and Sweden in the other semifinal on Saturday. And there is talk here in Prague that Alexander Ovechkin might join Team Russia, as his Washington Capitals were just knocked out of the Stanley Cup playoffs. 2-0 Canada leads here in the first period. Brent Burns of the San Jose Sharks and Tyler Toffoli of Tyler Ennis of the Buffalo Sabres have the goals for Canada with a 2-0 lead here in the opening period against Belarus. Quarterfinal day at the World Hockey Championship. The game maybe you fear the most.
Well, it's not gone very well for Canada the last 5 years.
The knee knocker, you usually face a lower seeded opponent, but we've seen so many times over the years, almost every time at the Olympics, one of those low seeds knocks off a higher seed.
Goalie gets hot, a power play scores a couple of goals, and pretty soon you're in a tie game with 10 minutes left.
And if you lose, your tournament's over. Win this one, and you know you'll play for a medal at the very least. Yavenko brings it back. Yavenko just completed his 4th year at UMass Amherst in the NCAA. Went to the Adirondack Flames at the conclusion of his college season.
6'7", 230 pounds.
Spezza works it down to Duchesne. Matt Duchesne drops it down to Spezza. Spezza winds his way in, drops it back at the point. Here's Muzzin with a long shot that was knocked down and skipped away from Duchesne. Shots are 10-1 in favor of Canada in the early going. Lead pass for Spezza misses. And back is Evgeny Kovershkin to go back, and it's icing called against Canada.
One way to discourage the lower seeded team is to play at a high pace. Look at the mobility of Tyson Barry. He gets into the play, back out of it to find Ennis. And Ennis makes it 2-0. But if Canada plays at the pace that they are right now, I find it hard to believe that Belarus is going to be able to hang with them over the course of a game. That's what they did to Austria the other day. They started quick, and that game was over in a hurry.
Top line on the ice for Belarus. The face-off, though, won by Duchesne, who's the #1 face-off man in the tournament at 72%. And played back to the Belarusian zone as Dmitry Korobov goes back for it. And here comes Kaluzhny with it. Alexei Kaluzhny, the 37-year-old. Smith plays it around. Chipped ahead by Tyler Seguin. And racing back is Ivan Yusenko to knock it away. Now O'Reilly racing in, knocked away from him. Out of the line by Seguin, across to O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly centers for Giroux. Claude Giroux now back in the corner with it. And Giroux spins it back to Hamhuis, across to Burns. Burns, diagonal pass in, chipped wide there by Seguin. O'Reilly races to it. Midway through this first period, Seguin centers it. Giroux alone in front, waits. Oh, and a stop by Lalonde. Rebound poked wide by O'Reilly. Lalonde staying with Claude Giroux, step for step, makes the stop. Now Burns with it. Walks in and shoots, tip, scored! Looks like Ryan O'Reilly got a piece of that. And it's 3-0 Canada.
I said the first 10 minutes were going to be crucial, and this is about the worst type of start that Belarus could have. They just can't get to the Canadians as they get on the forecheck. and Brent Burns has a goal and an assist. The assist is possible because of that stop by Lalonde on Claude Giroux. O'Reilly hunts the puck down, keeps it alive. He's going to find Burns and then get to the front of the net for the deflection. It's a great shot by Burns. Head up. He's looking straight to O'Reilly, and O'Reilly's tip is right in the corner. And it's 3-0 Canada.
Ryan O'Reilly has done pretty much everything for Canada right in this tournament, except score until now. He had 7 assists coming in. That's 15 points for him now in 23 World Championship games for Canada. He's played in the power play, killed penalties. He's played center, both wings. Now that shot drifted wide by Stepanov for Belarus. And Stepanov back on it, being watched by Weirkai. Andrei Stepanov plays it down for Kulikov. That's broken up, and away comes David Savard for Canada. Savard ahead for Toffoli. And racing away with it is Evgeny Kavershin. Centers it, and that pass is Dmitry Korobov. Now Toffoli with it. Out for Ennis, and hustling back is Goroshko for Belarus. He steps into Ennis, but he wins the battle for the puck. Ennis drops it back, but Muzzin had to retreat. And Goroshko plays that to the line, but not out. Now Crosby causing all kinds of problems. And the pass is picked off by Taylor Hall. In he comes. Well, they'll say the puck was played with a high stick, and Taylor Hall was that close to a breakaway.
Ryan O'Reilly and Brent Burns both had no goals and 7 assists coming into today. They both have a goal now. Burns in the first minute. O'Reilly, the recipient of that Burns wrist shot. He deflects it past Kevin Lalonde. And we've seen a Canadian team that's too quick, too aggressive so far for Belarus.
I understand there's some long lineups outside to get into the building. It is filling up slowly midway through the period. Eberle in, shoots, Lalonde makes the stop. So the medal round begins. Czechs are in against the Finns tonight. This joint will be hopping literally tonight as that sharp angle shot by Muzzin turned away by Lalonde. And Stahl looks ahead for Sergei Droz. In comes Droz, centers it, and just misses Artur Gabris with that pass. One thing Todd McClellan and his staff talked about was odd man rushes for Belarus. They look for them at all times. Stunned the U.S. 5-2 in the round robin. Here's Hall with it for Burns. Look at all of that, knocked it wide of the goal. And it's scooped up by Dmitry Korobov. Now Volkov fires it wide. Burns goes back. Brent Burns has played 18 more minutes than any other Canadian player through the first 7 games. Now McKinnon lifts that down. And it's an icing call as Korobov gets back for it.
Through the tournament, we've talked about how this is a long tournament, and at times the games flatten out in the middle. In particular, we thought Canada kind of went to sleep a little bit against France and Switzerland for the most part early, but now you can see the finish line. You've got a couple of games left. You want to make sure you're in position to play for a medal, and it's been an excellent start for them this afternoon.
Andrei Kostitsyn up for Kaluzhny, and the pass deflects over the glass. 7:22 to go here in the first period. Canada leading 3-0. Gord Miller, Ray Ferraro here in Prague in the Czech Republic on this Thursday afternoon, just after 4:30 local time. Canada with a 3-0 lead on Belarus. In one of 4 quarterfinal games being played today, the United States still leading Switzerland by a score of 2-1. A little ahead of us in Ostrava, about 2.5 hours east of here. Then the Czechs and Finns here tonight, and Sweden, Russia this evening in Ostrava. Again, the icing or the offside call at the Belarus line.
And you mentioned earlier, Gord, that there is a little bit of buzz that Alexander Ovechkin may fill the last Russian open spot. Of course, the Caps losing overtime yesterday to the to the Rangers.
Now, in theory, Canada could add a player. Canada's at 21 skaters right now. You could fill out a roster of 22. The Swedes, for example, have used all 22 of their spots. They cannot add a player. Even in the case of injury, you can't substitute. But the Russians do have an open spot.
And the Swedes had a couple open spots. They got banged up a little bit, and they started to add players out of necessity. And it's pretty rare that a player would get added now.
Played back in behind the goal for Sergei Droz. He got tied up by Crosby, and Crosby plays it ahead for Ekblad. He finds Hall moving in with Eberle. Taylor Hall works his way in. The puck bounced away from him as Goroshko knocked it away, and here's Dan Hamhuis back with it. Hall flips it back down, and Claude Giroux comes busting in. Giroux trying to shield off a check. And back at the point is Hamhuis. Knocked down by Seguin. Tyler Seguin centers it. O'Reilly with a chance, shoots it off the side of the goal. What a pass by Seguin through 3 sets of legs. And now Kulikov back with it for Belarus. Chips it down to the Canadian zone. Burns fires that down to the Belarusian end, and Lalonde plays it around. And that lead pass knocked down by Hamhuis away from Kulikov. Back to pick it up is Yavenko, and away comes Oleg Yavenko. All 6'7", 230 pounds of him, and he's offside at the Canadian line.
He's attracted some interest here from NHL teams, mostly, as you mentioned, Gord, because of his size. There's a question about his mobility and quickness on the bigger, or on the smaller rink, rather, where things happen much more quickly. But at 6'7", people are always going to take a look, just in case.
Yeah, 5'7" guys aren't getting nearly as long a look.
Doesn't take as long, they're a foot shorter.
Good point by you. Duchesne looking ahead for Spezza. And being defended there by Yavenko. Now McKinnon on him. And the wall was sealed there by Duchesne. Now Spezza comes back. Talk about that Belarus upset win over Sweden in the quarterfinals in Salt Lake City as Barry drops it back for Spezza. He centers it, that's by everyone. Back to Muzzin, tees it up and fires high. Only one NHL player on that Belarus team back in 2002. In comes McKinnon, sends it back in front, and Lalonde on the deflection reaches back and takes that away.
Quick up from Canada in the neutral zone. A change from Belarus left them short-handed on the ice. Barry to Spezza finds McKinnon, and McKinnon wants to go across. He doesn't get any air on the pass, and Shikevich gets his stick down, deflects it, and Lalonde has to be sharp to catch the deflected pass.
The only NHL player on that Belarus team back in 2002, the late Ruslan Saleh. What a player he was.
He was a hard guy to play against. He, of course, perished in that terrible plane crash back in 2011. And maybe the greatest player that country's ever produced.
The goalie was busting into the front of the Belarusian goal, and a hooking call coming. They'll put Canada on the power play with 4:24 to go in the period. And it'll be Artem Volkov who goes off. Referees, by the way, are Timothy Meyer of the U.S. and Marcus Vinterborg of Sweden.
Canada hasn't really needed their power play much in this tournament. We see the nice, strong move from Toffoli to the net, where he's taken down by Volkov. But go back to the game against the Swedes when they were scrambling a little bit. They got a couple of power play goals, and then against France, tied 3-3 in the third period. Eberle's power play deflection turned out to be the game winner.
Tyler Seguin leads the way for Canada with 3 power play goals. Giroux shoots, and Lalonde sees that all the way and hangs on. You talk about critical goals that were scored in the first round, Ray, for Canada. Aaron Ekblad might have the biggest one. Down 3-0 against the Swedes. He gets the first one to get them back in the game early in the second period.
It's really their first test, really their only test of this tournament so far. Is they were down and looking a little bit unorganized against the Swedes, and once Ekblad scored, they started to get back in the game, get back to playing a much quicker style of play, and a 3-0 deficit turned into a 3-3 game in a hurry.
Andre Stas tried to play that ahead. Giroux now banks it around for Crosby. Minute 25 to go on the Canadian power play, and away comes Crosby. Points in every game he's played so far. Giroux drops it back to O'Reilly, across to Burns. And now Canada set up as Burns moves across, drops it back to Giroux. Feeds it there for O'Reilly, walks in and shoots. Milan makes the save off his mask. O'Reilly gets it back to Burns. Feeds it across to Giroux. Drops it down to Crosby. They're kind of hamstrung by that pass, and it's fired down the ice by Yusenko.
Lost the puck in his feet, and by the time he found it again, it was too late.
45 seconds to go on the power play. Barry cross to Hall. Taylor Hall comes busting in, spins back, drops it back to Barry. In comes Tyson Barry. Around Juvenko, drops it back to Ennis. Has some time, Tyler Ennis. Feeds it back to Barry. Hall standing in front here, Sagan with it. Back to Barry, winds and shoots, it's off a stick, and pinballs around in front, scooped up by Sagan. Back to Barry. Now Sagan, top of the face-off circle, back for Spezza. In he comes. Sagan was all set for the one-timer. The pass was too far for him to reach. Now Sagan fires, scores! Power play goal, Tyler Sagan, and it's 4-0 Canada.
Sagan's 4th power play goal and his 6th of the tournament. He was set up for the one-timer from Spezza, but the pass was a little bit behind him, so he had to hang on to it. But as he hangs on to it, he's able to turn and walk towards the middle of the ice, and he pounds this past Kevin Lalonde, top of the circle. He can really shoot it. And it's 4-0. He didn't have any pressure, and so Sagan was allowed to roll it onto the tee, and then he just absolutely hammered it.
You mentioned he had a 4-game goal-scoring streak in the preliminary round. As Couturier comes in, Sean Couturier with it now. Canada now 9 for 26 on the power play in the tournament.
12 points for Jason Spezza. 4 against Austria the other night.
And now he has the point lead to himself for now. There's a 4-way tie for the point lead entering play today. Burns got bumped there by Kostitsin. Andre Kostitsin back with it. Works across the top, drops it off. Walking in, a long shot by Ivan Yusenko. There is shot number 2 of the game for Belarus.
It's got to be 16 minutes between shots, and Mike Smith probably welcomes the shot. Andre Kostitsin got a good lick in on Brent Burns on the forecheck. Left the puck at the blue line for Gavrus, and his shot was swallowed up by Mike Smith.
Shots are 19-2 in favor of Canada. And back at the point is Yusenko. And that long drive from Korobov knocked away by Smith. And now back down to the Belarusian zone as McKinnon's in on the forecheck. And brought across the line by Spezza, but the play's offside.
Well, Canada's just steamrolled over everybody for the most part in this tournament tonight. It started out on the very first shift. Good forecheck by Hall, Everly, and Crosby, and Burns walks in and puts it right into the top of the net. Then on the Ryan O'Reilly goal, it was Burns who has his head up at the point, receives the O'Reilly pass. O'Reilly doesn't stand there in the corner. He gets back towards the front of the net, and Burns laid it in there for him to deflect it past Kevin Lalonde.
Elizabeth plays it down. 80 seconds to go in the period. Canada has averaged 7 goals per game so far. in this tournament. 49 goals in 7 games. No fewer than 4 in any one of them. Canada's 4-3 win over France still has people shaking their heads. As Ekblad comes in, drops it off for Spezza. The puck's still loose. Ekblad shoots, and Lalonde got just a piece of that. I mentioned Lalonde was shaken up in the loss against Russia. Allowed 3 goals on 13 shots for being lifted in that one. Belarus lost 7-0. Muzzin tries to play it around. That was knocked down, and now Stepanov with it. Andrei Stepanov trying to center it. Stepanov still being shadowed there by Ekblad. 30 seconds to go in the period. Stepanov. Looking back to Korobev, and now that bounces away from him. And back down to Yusenko. Korobev. Shoots it in wide, and racing in forward is Katarov. Alexander Katarov centers it. No one there for Belarus. In the dying second of the period, now Crosby had that pass go off the back of a leg. Gets it right back, and Crosby shovels that ahead for Eberle. Dying seconds, Eberle in, won't get a shot away. But Canada outshoots Belarus 20-3 and takes a 4-0 lead to the dressing room after the opening 20 minutes.
To be working right now. 4-0 over Belarus. Welcome back to our studio, everybody, with Dave Reed. Rod Black with you. Team Canada started fast and finished even faster.
The offensive machine, which is Team Canada in this tournament, really came out pumping. And you have to in this tournament. Teams that get good starts are usually the teams that hang on. Well, 27 seconds in, Brent Burns gets his first of the tournament. Fantastic setup. And then within 70 seconds of puck drop, these are the opportunities, the chances that Canada generated and that Canada missed. They get the 1 goal, and it's chance after chance after chance. Absolutely buzzing at the start of this game. Belarus, I think, had their pen and their pad out asking for autographs because they were watching as Canada was absolutely flying, and it didn't stop. Pretty much the whole period was what you saw there in the first 70 seconds.
Brent Burns commented before the game on Brian Mudryck's pocket square, and thought maybe it was a little loose. Maybe that looseness helped a lot.
It does. A lot of players are more relaxed than they are stressed when they come to games. Sometimes the nervous energy comes out with the relaxation and joking. Well, Brent Burns early in the game gets his first, but we've seen this before with Burns. How about that? That shot pass to Ryan O'Reilly as O'Reilly gets his first of the tournament as well. So Brent Burns has been playing fantastic. He's big, he's strong. The beard is so intimidating when he's on the ice, but man, oh man, you heard Ray Ferraro talk about what a great skater he is and how he can make up and for a quick mistake here or there, and he has had an absolutely beautiful tournament.
Connection of the beards there as Brent Burns finds Ryan O'Reilly for his first goal of the Worlds. He's standing by with Brian.
Ryan, what a start for Team Canada. I know coaches put a lot of faith in you in a lot of situations. What did it feel like, though, to get your first goal here in the tournament?
It's nice. Definitely been a while, but I just had to stick with it, I think. Obviously a little frustrated not getting one earlier in the tournament, but it's an important game for us, and I think we start the way we did and created chances early. Just a matter of time before we put more pucks in the net.
Big period for Burns. He's played a lot of minutes. He gets that early first goal. What has he meant to Team Canada back there for you guys?
He's been a huge piece all tournament for us. His size and strength and the ability to be able to create chances for us has just been huge and been great offensively, defensively. It's just got that all-around game that we need right now, and I'm sure he'll continue to do it.
You guys obviously have the lead, but what's key going forward in the second and third period for you?
We can't give these guys any momentum. They definitely got some really skilled forwards that, if we give them those chances, they're going to make plays happen. They're going to find their game, and for us, we got to make sure all 5 guys are working hard, making it tough on them.
Thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thanks.
It's a beard contest, man. Fear of the beard.
It's playoffs.
It's playoffs.
World Championship beard. I love the focus on O'Reilly. You can just see it when he's talking. It's focus, focus, focus. They're up 4-0. Now we've got 18 of 21 skaters for Team Canada have scored.
Wow.
Not bad.
It's not done yet.
Definitely.
The United States continues to lead Switzerland over on TSN2. They're in the third period. We'll send you to the second period in Prague after a SportsCenter update.
Alexei Kaluzhny was part of the greatest upset in his country's hockey history back in 2002. Now a deep hole against Canada after one period here in the quarterfinals. 4-0 Canada leads on goals by Brent Burns, Tyler Ennis, Ryan O'Reilly. and Tyler Seguin. 3 Tylers, a Taylor, and a Tyson on the Canadian roster have been driving head coach Todd McClellan and staff crazy. And yes, they have called Tyler Seguin Taylor and Taylor Hall Tyler, just for old time's sake. Now a centering attempt. Smith down. The puck went through his pads. What a chance in the opening moments for Andrei Kostitsyn of Belarus. Now Hamhuis turns it over. And Kaluzhny trying to center it. Ryan O'Reilly picks it up, and finally the puck leaves the zone for Canada. In comes Claude Giroux. Spins back along the boards as both teams are changing. Giroux drops it down, and then Bass missed Seguin. Hall centers it. It dribbles back in front. Seguin trying to drop it back. You've got a Belarus defender without a stick. And now Jake Muzzin back to pick it up. Now a chance in front, and the save is made on Eberle by Kevin Lalonde. 3-0 or 3-1 now, the U.S. leading. Jake Gardner has a goal for Team USA. That'll be a welcome relief for him as he was walked by Roman Josi for the first Swiss goal. So 3-1 the Americans lead, and Mike Smith makes another save in tight. Icing called against Canada.
Smith has trouble with the puck behind the net, and he can't handle it, so he has to just chip it to the corner, and you see how close it comes to the front. Kostitsyn not able to put it away.
Off the face-off, Crosby wins it back to Muzzin. And Tyson Barrie snaps the pass ahead for Taylor Hall. Lays it there for Crosby. In comes Crosby, a backhand shot. Stopped by Lalonde. Hopefully a still photographer got a picture of that. Second goal in the Lalonde family rec room. Now a centering pass for Eberle, just missed Hall.
Would be a good one.
Guys used to get tossed out of face-offs, or ask teammates to get tossed out so they could line up against Mario or Gretzky or someone. You got a picture taken.
Late in his career, Guy Lafleur came back to play with the Rangers, and
your caution didn't shoot, stopped by Lalonde.
One of my favorite pictures is checking him against the boards. I don't know if I would have done that 20 years earlier.
In comes Spezza, rolled off his stick. Spezza gathers it back up. Duchesne loose behind the goal, gathers it back up, feeds down to Spezza. Works back to the front. Spezza had the puck sit there for a moment, now gathers it back up. Spezza wraps it around. Lalonde makes the stop. Kavirshi just banged it off the end boards. In comes Spezza with a drive off the outside of the post. Spezza back with it. Drops it back down to Duchesne. Looks across to Nathan McKinnon. McKinnon drops it back. In comes Ekblad with a shot, and Kevin Lalonde, the 28-year-old from Kingston, Ontario, makes another save.
Canada turned that last shift into a cycle drill as the previous shift, Hall finds Crosby, and Crosby had room up top. He missed the shot. The backhand went closer to the middle of the net. Here's the Spezza shot off the goalpost. That was right after Kavirshin banked it off the end boards. I'm not real sure where he thought he was going with the puck. That was just panic and tired as Canada dominated the shift.
Now it's a Foley with a drive, and Lalonde makes the save on him. 25-5, the shots on goal in favor of Canada. Be interesting here tonight, the Czechs and the Finns. You've got the goaltending of Pekka Rinne. You've got questions about Jaromir Jagr. Is that shot from Sean Couturier knocked away by Lalonde? Jagr left their last round robin game early and did appear to be in some discomfort on the Czech bench. We're told he'll be okay and will play tonight. Now Ennis, loose behind the goal, pivots back again. Tyler Ennis. Crisscrossing with Tyler Seguin. Now Couturier on it, drops it back. Seguin in, shoots, scores! Tyler Seguin makes it 5-0 Canada.
There's the cycle that Belarus just can't find a way to stop. They're not quick enough nor strong enough to deny Canada below the goal line as the puck comes to the top. Ennis, Couturier, and Seguin get involved here, and Seguin working on a perfect Cy Young year here, 7-0 in the tournament. His 7th goal is, he fans on it and it goes underneath the pad of Kevin Lalonde. And good work by Canada as they lay it on with one early here in the second.
Burns across to Sagan. And back goes Sergei Kostitsyn to pick it up. Now picked off by Claude Giroux. Feeds it back at the point for Burns, a long wrist shot. Lalonde the save, and the rebound cleaned up by Yusenko. And Sergei Kostitsyn plays it back to center ice. Tyler Sagan had it knocked away. Sergei Kostitsyn in across the line. Kostitsyn first made a name for himself as a member of the London Knights. Played in the line with Sam Gagner and Patrick Kane. They combined to score 137 goals, ripping it up in the OHL for London. Chance for Hall, he gets turned away. One of the most dominant lines in the last 10 years in all of junior hockey. Here's Eberle with it now. Gordon Eberle spins back.
A couple more assists for Jake Muzzin today. That's 8. Very quiet in the tournament.
The puck was played with a high stick, and so play called with 4:43 gone here in the second period. The hard part about this game is in the quarterfinals, you lose, you're done.
Right, but somewhere along the line here, the pace of opponent is going to kick up on Canada. And the real question is going to be, will they get caught by surprise, or will they be able to handle it? The next opponent is not, they're not going to dominate it like they are here.
Right.
And so you're going to face either a really good Finnish team with the goalie that's had an incredible tournament in Pekka Rinne, or you're going to have a crazy loud building here for the Czechs.
Duchesne to the line, but not out. A long shot taken there by Lizovitz is stopped by Smith. Spezza picks it out. Looks ahead for McKinnon. In comes Nathan McKinnon with Duchesne driving down the middle. Duchesne dropped it back for McKinnon. Savard plays it back, and Duchesne was dropped. Stepanov knocks it around. The puck scooped up by Patrick Wierkoch in behind the Canadian goal. Wierkoch. Long pass at center ice was knocked out by Demkov. Now Demkov, a hard shot stopped by Smith. The rebound cleared by Wierkoch. Trasenko a drive goes off a leg and wide. A largely Czech crowd here encouraging Belarus, hoping to see some semblance of pushback from Belarus. As Trasenko goes back for it. Lead pass goes to Volkov. Artem Volkov almost out ahead for Katarov. Belarus changing. And loose behind the goal is Volkov. Centers it, goes off a skate, back to the point. And Yusenko put that wide to the goal. Here's Yusenko back with it. Shot. And Mike Smith makes the glove save. 5-0 Canada leads here at the quarterfinals of the World Championship 2015. Nothing Canada leading this quarterfinal game in Ostrava. It's 3-1 USA over Switzerland. Winner of that game gets the winner of the Russia-Sweden quarterfinal here on Saturday. Burns to the line and out. It's knocked right back in as Mike Smith goes back to pick it up. Here's Hamhuis. Now he goes for Sagan. Now Hamhuis stepped hard into his man as he knocked Andre Kostitsyn down. Kostitsyn Brothers Quarter is saying they would like to return to North America to play in the NHL. It did not end well for Andre in Nashville.
It's going to be a tough one to overlook if you're another team.
Right. He and Alexander Radulov were spotted out late one night for a playoff game as Lalonde makes the glove save.
You know, you have to take a pretty good leap of faith if you're going to do that. Tyler Seguin, a couple of goals. The first on the power play, he couldn't get to the one-timer. He was able to walk in and pound it by Lalonde, and this was excellent cycle work. You see Lalonde take a deep breath as Seguin's second made it 5-0. 3 of the 5 Canadian goals have been as a result of a cycle where they have just dominated Belarus in the offensive zone.
Now Crosby works it around, looks at a return pass from Hall. There's Tyson Barrie with it. Crosby spins back in behind the goal, plays it off the back of the net. Crosby centers it. Tyson Barrie had it bounce away, and Jake Muzzin goes racing back for it. Muzzin playing internationally for Canada for the first time. Guy who's always been overlooked. Late round pick who wasn't signed. As Hall comes in, drops it back to Crosby with a shot, and Lalonde makes a save on him. Now Crosby got clipped with a high stick again, drops it back for Ekblad. Aaron Ekblad works it around. Lalonde is down as Aaron Ekblad rolls it around. Still 19 years of age, the youngest defenseman ever to score for Canada in this tournament. Has done it 4 times. Now a penalty coming to Canada. It's going to go against Taylor Hall. And Gavras comes in for Belarus as Ekblad touches up. A tripping call will go against Canada with 12:05 to go in the second period.
Hall picked up an assist on the first Canadian goal in the opening half minute. Here he gets called for the trip as he flips a leg out from the Belarus defender. Stasenko turns around and Hall takes the tripping penalty. So Belarus has 4 power play goals in the tournament. They'll get their big line out to see if they can get one past Mike Smith.
2 of those 4 goals on the power play scored on 5-on-3s against the United States. Stepanov swings that rink wide for Kaluzhny.
Kaluzhny uses, sorry Gordon, Kaluzhny uses one of the shortest sticks I've ever seen.
For an adult.
Like, seriously, that stick could fit in his pocket. And he's got great numbers.
O'Reilly shoots. Save made by Lalonde.
He can really shoot the pockets. Honestly, it's like a pitching wedge.
Look at him. Now he takes that return pass, and if you dared change the length of it, you wouldn't know what to do.
I'll tell you, when guys break their stick and they go by the bench, he better not hold his out. What's the next guy going to do with it?
Proud of that. Now a chance for Canada, 2-on-1, short-handed. In comes Muzzin. Jake Muzzin is shot. Lalonde makes the save. We actually saw that earlier in the tournament where a defenseman broke his stick, a forward gave him his, and the defenseman promptly put the puck over the glass and took a penalty. Now Smith with a save on the long drive by Andre Stas.
Stas plays in the KHL like many of these players from Belarus do. He plays in Cheska in Moscow and played in the World Junior Tournament. This is his 7th tournament in the World Championships, and just 26 years old. Belarus is really working to improve and grow their program. They've visited Sweden and Russia on a management level and organizational level. They've sent a group to North America to tour hockey academies and arenas, and they're building a national team development program in Minsk. Because their president's so serious about hockey, they've got backing for it. They really want to become a team that other countries worry about.
The United States has beaten Switzerland, so the U.S. will be coming here to Prague for the semifinals on Saturday. The Swiss will finish with a top 8 finish. And that shot taken by Korobov shattered his stick in half. And now,
there's your penalty,
2 men on the ice. Called against Belarus. That's the 25th time by my count it's been called in the tournament.
Canada will go to the power play. They scored early in the first period. Tyler Seguin power play marker, and 10 seconds left in Taylor Hall's penalty, and then Canada will return to the power play.
And Gavris will serve it for Belarus. Spezza, Ennis, Barry, and Seguin up there for the 4-on-4, which will become a 5-on-4 in 10 seconds. Barry to Spezza. Rings it around to Tyson Barry. And Hall steps on. Barry swings it across to Spezza. Spezza centers it, just missed Ennis with that. Tyler Ennis works it down to Seguin. Seguin centers it, just tipped wide by Spezza. Ennis drops it down to Barry down low once again for Canada. Barry drops it back to Spezza. Spezza to Hall, back to Spezza, bobbled off his stick, and now racing back forward to Seguin. Across he comes to Barry. Fans on the first try, and now it's sent down the ice by Alexander Kulikov. Past the midway point of the second period, Brent Burns, who opened scoring for Canada 30 seconds into the game, has it now and drops it back for Crosby. Rink wide, he goes for Eberle. Canada changing as Eberle drops it off to O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly feeds it back to Giroux. Burns, Crosby, Burns fires the lawn, save, rebound, loose in front to Foley reaching for it. Feeds it back to Burns, winds and fires again, scores! Brent Burns tees it up and pounds it home. It's a 6-0 Canada lead.
2 goals for Burns, 2 power play goals for Canada. His first 2 of the tournament. He had a real good chance moments before that Lalonde turned away. This one is going to be kept alive by Eberle and O'Reilly. Burns one times it, it goes underneath the pad of Lalonde, and you see the frustration on Kevin Lalonde. Same place that Spezza's went, underneath the toe of the right pad, and slams down the water bottle, and it's 6-0.
And you know what that means, Ray?
Oh, we're getting close to trivia time.
It's trivia time.
Rules are rules.
6-goal lead. Been a lot of that. Canada-Belarus games have actually been fairly close over the years. The average margin of victory for Canada in the previous 7 was 3 goals. There's some 1-goal wins in there. Canada won the last meeting in 2013 by a score of 4-1. So Sweden is the only country, Ray, to win.
You're serious. You're
I'm going to ask you one. Sweden's the only country to win medals in the last 2 World Championships. What's the only country to win a medal in the last 3 Olympic men's hockey tournaments?
Finns.
Yes.
The Finns are tough, man. They're always hanging around. They never seem to fall far out of the mix.
Bronze medal games that, you know, they take them seriously. As Kluzny centers it, and Mike Smith makes the stop on the tip by Sergei Kostitsyn. For a tiny country, they punch above their weight. The Finns, world champions in 2012. Now a centering pass. Smith knocked it away again. This top line goes to work as Sergei Kostitsyn is turned away again. Across it comes, and it's fired wide by Yavenko. 7.5 to go in the second period. A 6-0 Canada lead. Now Duchesne had his stick knocked away, and at center ice, the official makes the call. And so Canada, leading by 6, can make it 7 on the power play. Approaching 5:30 local time here in Prague. Fans are starting to get full throat. Now they're doing a counterclockwise wave. You don't see that very often. See? Gotta keep it fresh. The slow-mo will be next. Barry feeds it across to Spezza rather than the power play. The save made by Kevin Lalonde. You feel for Kevin Lalonde, who gets a chance to play against Canada, the game televised nationally in his home country. But Belarus has been completely overwhelmed by a Canadian team that thus far, Ray, has lived up to its billing as an offensive powerhouse.
You looked at the roster, and even before Sidney Crosby was added, and your first thought was, wow, they're going to score some goals. And then Crosby shows up, and you go, oh, wait a minute, their top two centers are Crosby and Giroux.
Yeah.
You know, nobody has to dominate anything. They've got so many people that become dangerous anytime they're on the ice. And as a result, I mean, you're now sitting there at 55 goals for, and you're not 8 games in.
Barry drops it back for Spezza. Jason Spezza comes in and shoots. He fired it wide. Now, before you think about adding all these guys to your National Hockey League team, this Canadian team's about $94 million on the cap. So
there is that.
There is that. They're $30 million over. Here's Hall with it. Taylor Hall for Spezza. He takes a whack at that, but it's deflected wide by Korobov. And back comes Barry for it. So tonight in Ostrava, Sweden versus Russia. Alexander Ovechkin apparently on his way over, should the Russians win that tonight. Tyson Barrie feeds it back. Giroux for Eberle. Crosby slaps it back, and Burns with a shot. Didn't get all of that. He knocked it high and wide. Giroux, Crosby, Burns, Crosby tees it up and fires it wide. 25 seconds to go on the power play, and it's knocked down the ice by Volkov. So the defending champion Russians, who got Ovechkin for the tournament last year when Washington missed the playoffs, get him back for the final weekend with Washington knocked out in Game 7 of the second round. Now Crosby works in, feeds it back across. He missed Giroux with that. Giroux to Burns, back across to Crosby. And now coming to the penalty box is Kulikov. Alexander Kulikov works it on Burns, centers it, and racing in, Mike Smith makes the stop on Conversion. Now Smith is down, Conversion back with it. Plays it back down to Kulikov, and the pass back leaves the zone. Some dangerous chances for Belarus there. Under 5 to go in the second period.
Really good stop for Mike Smith. Has not had virtually any action in 40 minutes. The puck gets deflected out of the zone, and Kulikov steps out of the penalty box. He lays a nice pass across, so there's plenty of time for Conversion to steady it and make the move he wants, but Smith closes the legs and keeps it out.
Now Sean Couturier in for it. Sean Couturier has a unique distinction in this tournament so far. He has not been on the ice for an even strength goal against. Hughes looks ahead for Toffoli, and getting back there is Lasovitz, and an icing call against Canada with 4:36 to go.
Couturier wasn't playing much in the first couple of games, started to play a little bit more regularly, had a goal and a couple assists against the Swiss. I think he's played really well, has a really nice assist on the 5th Canadian goal tonight.
Cody Egan for the face-off. One back, and Andre Kostitsin with a hard shot poked away by Smith. And Hamhuis back with it. Shots on goal are 36-11 Canada, 16-8 in this period. And Ekblad goes back. Egan works it back in for Canada, tries to find Couturier. And the lead pass goes to Sergei Kostitsyn. In with his brother Andre. Sergei shoots, knocked down by Smith. Rebound. And Smith turns that away as Andre Stas was busting in. And Mike Smith has had to play his best in the last 4 minutes or so.
Andre Kostitsyn drives the net, so Sergei Kostitsyn has room behind him. Mike Smith swats this rebound right down into the front of the crease, and Andre Stas gets to the puck. Smith's able to shut that down as well.
Now McKinnon chips it ahead. Here comes Matt Duchene busting in. Stas got a stick on him. And play continues, and McKinnon throws that back into the corner. Nathan McKinnon down for Duchene. Picked out by McKinnon. Duchene got flattened. And the rink-wide pass goes to Savard. Down to Duchene. Spins off Stas, feeds it back, and Spezza fans with a one-time shot. Borbov can't get that by McKinnon. And now McKinnon back with it. Nathan McKinnon picks it out.
It's like a stick handling drill. It was so crowded in there, and he still came out with a puck.
Back comes Gavris with it. Arthur Gavris in a backhand shot, stopped by Smith, and Gavris goes hard to the end boards. Taken in by Savard. He's getting to his feet slowly, but Mike Smith has the puck.
We're shaking up a little bit here as McKinnon finally gets the puck stripped off him, and Gavris shows good speed to get out into the open. Just 21 years old, one of their younger players. He was one of that group of 7 that was at the camp that Todd McClellan coached at 7 years ago. You see him shaking up a little bit as he crashes into the end boards.
Gavris played Owen Sound 4 years ago. Scored 15 goals in 45 games. There was a 6th-round pick in New Jersey back in 2012. And Smith knocks that long shot away off the stick of Artem Demkov.
Chances have been hard to come by for Belarus, and Dave Lewis, who took over in December of 2014, is left to watch a team that's overmatched. He's the 3rd Canadian coach to coach Belarus recently. Glenn Hanlon, who was coaching the Swiss, who were eliminated about 30 minutes ago, and Kurt Fraser, who was my coach in Atlanta. Maybe we sent him overseas. And then Dave Lewis now taking over.
And Lewis was actually an assistant for Belarus at the Olympics in Vancouver in 2010. Now Smith knocks away that centering pass. Barry lifts it out. And hustling back is Sienkiewicz for Belarus. Stolen by Crosby with Eberle. Crosby into the goalpost. Rang it right off the pipe. And you saw how Dan Hamhuis left that puck there as he wanted to be careful not to take a too many men penalty. And backup goalie Martin Jones almost got hit on the Canadian bench.
Of the things Crosby does really well that I think are underrated is shoot the puck. I never think of Sidney Crosby as having a great shot, and then I watch a release like this. That look on TV doesn't do justice to what the puck did off his stick. He's got that puck on his front foot, so it's prime to pass it or to shoot it, and in an instant, it's gone. And he's not going to score many slappers. He doesn't take a whole bunch of those, but man, that's a marvelous release.
Not a huge year for Crosby by his standards this year in the NHL. But he's been great at the World Championship as now Lalonde dives back for that. 28 goals for Crosby in 77 games this year.
Lalonde makes an odd save as this puck is deflected. It hits his stick. Whoops, and bounces up over top, and he has to scramble back to freeze the puck.
Lalonde would be a great example, Ray, of a guy who comes over to play in Europe, makes a home for himself. He's much beloved in Belarus.
We're talking to some people that mentioned how active he is in the community, does charity work, works with the kids at hockey camps and such, and he's embraced his career and the place that he lived, and as a result, he's become a very popular player.
Got a passport.
Only 5 years ahead of the queue. But it's pretty interesting. Some guys come to Europe, and we've talked about this. They stay
As Sagan walks in, Lalonde is down. He tried to wrap it around, that missed. Now Muzzin comes in.
They stay in their apartment. They're nervous about being in a different country. They don't really embrace it. It's got to be hard to do, but Lalonde has done that. In reverse, it's got to be hard for a lot of European players into North America too.
Stepanov in, fired that wide. And now a penalty coming against Canada in the late stages here as Couturier is back to touch it. And finally it is touched by Tyler Ennis. And so a tripping call will go against Canada. It'll be Aaron Ekblad going off with 52 seconds to go.
What a tournament Ekblad's had. Goals against Germany, Sweden, the Swiss, and Latvia. He gets called for the trip there as he knocks the feed out of the forward, Kostitsin going to the net. There's nothing Ekblad does when I watch him that seems like he's in a panic. Just so mature. His vision on the ice, or the way he carries himself on the ice, is just really impressive.
I remember speaking to him, Ray, we talked to him before the 2014 World Junior in Malmo, Sweden. It was almost unnerving. He was 17 years old at the time as Couturier comes in.
Really? How old is this guy?
I think he was 35. Like it's the first thing you hear about him. We've been told by his junior coach, Dale Howardchuk, what a poised, mature guy he was, but not even that could prepare you for how jarring it was to talk to a 17-year-old kid who sounded like he was an adult.
And he speaks with confidence, but it never sounds arrogant. He wants to be the best defenseman. He wants to win the Norris Trophy. He wants to win a Stanley Cup. And when he says it, it just sounds like it probably should be. It doesn't sound boastful at all.
Brought in by Gamris, a long shot kicked up by Smith. Final seconds. And the rebound fired wide there by Andre Stas. And Canada extends its lead now 6-0 after 40 minutes here on quarterfinal Thursday at the World Hockey Championship.
Easy street for Canada today. It looks like the curse will be lifted. 5 straight years, no semifinals for Team Canada. They have a 6-0 lead over Belarus. The United States has already punched its ticket to the semifinals, 3-1 win over Switzerland. Remember that movie Exorcist when Linda Blair's head was spinning? That's how Belarus felt that period.
Well, sometimes it did, and most of the period, because they play a man-on-man. You can't play a man-on-man against Canada. Dave Lewis should know better. And we're going to show you some head spinning, and this is what's going on for Belarus. Watch Jake Muzzin, number 6. He gets into play. This is a 4-player cycle for Canada. Results in a goal by Sagan, and Sagan's wide open because maybe the Belarusian defensemen didn't have their head on a swivel, so to speak. But Belarus trying to shut Canada down on that one-on-one coverage in their own zone just doesn't work, and that's a perfect example of how you have to play a zone, how you have to kind of contain, give them space to the outside, take away the middle. It was ugly.
They might call Ty Sagan Cy Sagan soon, as in Cy Young, 7 goals, no assists.
And you remember at the start of this tournament, he went the first 2 games without a goal, without a point. He was one of the few players who didn't have a point, but he can score with the best. There's no question about when given time. I love the slap shot goal, looking through the screen, finding his spot. He's got such great skills, such great hands, such great finishing ability. Took him a little while. He let everybody else get involved in the tournament, and 2 goals in this tournament in a romp.
He is having a terrific tournament so far. Another goal today, 6-0 Canada. Tyler Sagan standing by with Brian Mudryk.
Tyler, obviously a great game so far. You guys had the early goal from Burns and haven't looked back. How proud are you with the way that the team Canadians played in a must-win game?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy the way we came out. That's been a big thing for us. We've had some tough starts and had some games where our goalies had to hold us in there early, first few minutes. So tonight was good.
You're obviously an offensive guy. Do you feel you're maybe in that mode right now where the goals are starting to come for you?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of those blowout games, I couldn't seem to find one, but I'm happy to contribute whenever I can, and obviously when the puck's going in, you're satisfied.
Thanks for your time. Good luck the rest of the way.
All right, thanks.
Other news, Alex Ovechkin's disappointment, of course, last night, Washington losing in Game 7 to the Rangers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He is on an airplane now on his way to the Czech Republic. By the time he gets there, though, Russia might not be in. They have Sweden later today, so Ovechkin is going to play if they move on.
And I like this. I know a lot of people criticize Alexander Ovechkin, say, geez, you give it some time, hang out with your teammates. But this is a huge tournament. This is a big deal for Russia. And you can see for Alexander Ovechkin, it's going to be his 11th tournament. So, you know what? Good for Alexander Ovechkin, but you're right. He might land, and he might going out have the good tournament, guys. That might be the only thing he has the option to do. But I think it's great. It's nice to see Ovechkin come over. It really adds something special to the tournament. Great to see him in the gold medal game against Canada.
You know what's really good for? Russia.
Yes.
And it makes them even better. They have Sweden later today. Team Canada looking indomitable. Sagan score 6-0 after 2 in the quarters.
Aaron Ekblad has 1 minute and 8 seconds to serve in the penalty box. Canada's a period away from appearing in the semifinals of the World Hockey Championship for the first time since 2009.
It's really quite remarkable whether the roster resembles this, which they haven't, or not, that they haven't been able to get out of that game yet.
There has been any number of unusual happenings. Last year, Canada lost to Finland. Pekka Rinne was exceptional in that game. Lost a shootout to Sweden in 2013 in Stockholm, the year that Sweden went on to win the gold medal. Single elimination hockey. Andrei Kostitsyn brings it out now on the Belarusian power play. And now played down low to Alexei Kaluzhny, playing in his 11th World Championship, also a 3-time Olympian for Belarus. Kaluzhny feeds it back at the point for Yusenko. Across he goes to Sergei Kostitsyn. 40 seconds to go on the power play. And that shot whistled wide. Canada's allowed 1 goal on 17 opposition attempts so far. In comes Sergei Kostitsyn. That was partly blocked by Hamhuis. Kaluzhny drops it back for Yusenko. To Kaluzhny. Backhands it down to Andrei Kostitsyn. Centers it. And a bouncing puck away from Smith. A backhand shot from Sergei Kostitsyn goes high and wide. And Brent Burns in a battle with Andrei Kostitsyn, and Burns is going to get a penalty for high-sticking Alexei Kaluzhny. So Belarus is going to get a 5-on-3 here for 9 seconds. And the power play will continue. So IIHF rules a little different than the NHL. In the NHL, the follow-through from a shot or a pass there is not considered high-sticking.
I think that would have been a penalty in North America, too. The puck was on the other side. It was a little bit careless from Burns. And, you know, Claude Giroux, one of the league's best all season, will take this face-off 5-on-3. And
see Pete DeBoer moving to the right, along with Bill Peters, the assistant coach, is on the bench. Okay, Woodcroft comes down and joins them for the third period. Over the third.
Now one of his other brothers, Craig, is on the bench for Belarus. He has another brother, Todd, that was coaching with the Swiss.
Gavris brings it in now. The power play continues. The 5-on-3 is over. And Savard plays that to an open wing. Yefimenko trying to pass it back. And now fed down the ice by Claude Giroux. You look through the lineups that Canada's iced over the years, it is hard to find one with better resumes, at least at forward, than this one.
Oh, I can't imagine you'd find very many. You could go back 20 years and not find many rosters that would rival the forwards on this team.
Pretty good team for the Canadian tournament in 07-08 in Halifax and Quebec City.
And when you look at the names, you know, you have to remember what those players were at that time.
Right.
You know, not what the players are, you know, half a dozen or 7 years later. I know the best team of the 3 that I played on was in '89, and I was on the 4th line with John McLean and Andrew McBain. We all scored 40 goals that year. But the Oilers got knocked out early, so we ended up with Messier and Anderson. It was a hell of a team.
The 08 team had Getzlaff, Nash, Marty St. Louis, Jonathan Taves, Patrick Sharp, Jason Spetz up front, Duncan Keith on defense, Jay Bomeister. Danny Heatley on that team as well. Lost in the gold medal game to the Russians.
Wasn't there a puck over the glass?
Ryan Getzlaff. It was before the penalty was automatic in the IIHF. And a quick shot taken there by Stepanov is stopped by Mike Smith.
They called it delay of game.
Yeah, he turned sideways. Canada was coming a penalty. He turned sideways and shot into the crowd. They called it over the glass. It was probably the right call. And
well, for those that don't like the rule, that was so much part of the game. You'd get hemmed in your zone as soon. You had two options.
Yell, put it out.
Shoot it over the glass or ice it. And sometimes it was easier to shoot it over the glass because you had no room to ice it.
Now Yavenko with it, 10 seconds to go in this extended power play for Belarus. And Crosby picks it up. So here's another question for you for the World Championship. You ready? As Burns brings it out, 5-on-5. Burns comes in and shoots, and Lalonde makes the save. Which Soviet-era player is the all-time assist leader at the World Hockey Championship? Eberle has it blocked.
Good one. A couple names that come quickly to mind, which make me think they're the wrong ones, as are most trivia answers. I mean, my first couple of names come up are Larionov or Mihailov. Both of them playing so low. It's Brent Burns getting a little touch up on the bench there. And
Wade in 72.
Well, it can't be Harlamov.
It is.
I didn't think he played enough before he passed away.
Valeri Harlamov is the all-time leading assist at the World Championship. Still.
I remember that 72 series, you know, obviously the first time that any of us had, certainly of my age, had ever seen any of these players. And man, he looked like he was going 1,000 miles an hour all the time.
He was. Duchesne spins back in the corner. Drops it back, and Muzzin with a chance. It's tapped on goal by Spezza. That's turned away. And McKinnon drops it back. And now the play called offside at the Belarus line. The legend of Harlamov has grown in Russia. He's a revered figure, as he should be. One of the greatest players on those Soviet-era teams. And maybe the guy, along with Tretiak, who opened more eyes in 72.
Sure, I think for their, you know, the scouting report on Tretiak, of course, was that he was no good, but people had not seen him very much. And Harlamov was far more talented. They didn't, you know, they had seen an older player like Mihailov before who was so tough, but that whole roster was a revelation, really.
And remember, back then, players from Belarus, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, all those former Soviet republics were part of the Soviet Union.
There was always mystery, you know, before the players could come over far more, you know, as readily as they can today. But, you know, we had heard of these younger players and never seen them up close, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's Alexander Mogilny in a World Championship. Yeah. Wow, is he fantastic? Or Pavel Bure.
Well, Bure, Mogilny, Fedorov as a line together.
Yeah, that was the tournament we played. We were like, wait a minute. They're playing against our fourth line, which is us, and they're really good.
Imagine them in the World Junior in Anchorage in '89. Giroux feeds it across.
But there was always the mystery, and it was easy to hate, easy to, you know, for us to play against them. Always to look at that as the game you had to win.
Sergei winds in. Smith makes the stop and gobbles that up. It begs the question, is it still Russia for Canada? For for younger Canadians, for under 30s, it might be the United States.
Oh, I think it is for sure. They play so many games against each other. As you see the deflection by Kaluzhny, nice stop by Mike Smith. But they play so many games from young ages against each other in high format tournaments.
And you think about the World Junior Championship of late.
I mean, we didn't even have to develop a rivalry. The first time you played against Russia, you just had to beat them. You had to. And they looked at us the same way.
Sienkiewicz has that knocked away. You talk about the greatest Olympic upsets. Belarus authored one over Sweden in 2002. Of course, the United States over the Soviets in 1980. And now another penalty coming. It's going to go against Belarus. It'll be Oleg Goroshko who goes off. I'm going to find the CD of that song, by the way, the penalty song.
You know, when they played in the second period, I thought, I wonder how many more times we're going to hear that. We got one game today, 5 more past this. What do you think?
Average of probably 6 penalties a game. 30 more times. Yeah. That might put me over the edge. That might actually finally put me over the edge. You haven't done it. That song might finish me off.
I gotta find a copy of it.
See, that's not generous. That's ungenerous again.
I could slip that into your iPod.
Oh no! Make it
so on the way home
an endless loop.
Oh, fantastic. Of course, there's no chance I could do anything that technologically advanced. So you're safe.
As long as your kids don't get close to it, they could. Now fired down the ice by Andre Stas. Belarus's national junior team pulled a pretty big upset in Grand Forks in 05. Beat the United States 5-2. That was a good American team. Phil Kessel's on that group. So they've had their moments internationally. But they came in here knowing they were in tough against a Canadian team that was hungry to get further in the quarters. And Sidney Crosby has something to play for too, Ray. He can become the 26th member of the Triple Gold Club if Canada wins gold here. That's the players who have won the Stanley Cup, the Olympic gold medal, and the World Championship.
What's the Scott Niedermayer Club?
Well, that's the
everything club?
If you count the Memorial Cup, he's won the Memorial Cup, the World Junior, the World Cup, the Olympics, the Stanley Cup. Is that 6?
World Championships.
And the World Championship, yeah, there's 6. Amazing. There's 3 players who have done the Triple Club double, Triple Gold Club double. They've done each at least twice. Larionov and Slava Fetisov for Russia, and a Swede. Sagan for Barry. Back to Tyler Sagan, works in. Wanna try it?
Is it Nick Lidstrom?
No. Barry walks in and fires. He hammered it wide. He played the playoffs to play 2 World Championships for the Swedes. There's Barry back with it. Cross to Spezza. Barry plays it back across. Here's Sagan. Drops it down to Hall. Forsberg.
Really? Yeah. You know what?
Because you got to play the Olympics in '94.
Right, before they were gone.
Yeah.
I heard he scored a really nice goal there.
Really made a stamp in the tournament.
Oh, we're killing ourselves now, aren't we?
Killing somebody. Sergei Kostitsyn plays it down for Andre. And Ekblad goes back for it. You want to stick around tonight, though. Czechs against the Finns. Jaromir Jagr, back out of retirement from international hockey. Every move he makes here is being greeted with cheers and applause as Toffoli comes in. 6-0 Canada leads here in this third period. Well, a big cheer goes up here in Prague. We just announced that 650,000 plus fans have attended games so far this World Championship. It breaks the attendance mark set last year in Belarus. And there's still lots of hockey yet to be played. It has been a well-run, well-attended, entertaining tournament. And so far, Canada has had its way with the opposition. 7-0 through the round robin, looking to make it 8-0. Canada with a perfect record through round robin play for the first time since 2008, when that team got to the gold medal game in Quebec City. Nathan MacKinnon brings it in. Canada on the power play as Sergei Kostitsyn went off. And the play's offside at the blue line of Belarus.
Well, now this is where the games get long for both sides. I mean, how does Todd McLellan challenge his team? They're up 6 here with 11 minutes to go. I guess you still have to run your bench like you could practice a little bit more. He's still got his #1 power play out, but you want to have some respect for your opponent.
And McLellan knows Dave Lewis well, two guys from Saskatchewan.
Both went through the Detroit Red Wings.
Crosby and Schultz, the law on the save. O'Reilly can't get to it. Now Burns. Giroux back to Burns. Feeds across to Crosby. Now Crosby down to O'Reilly. He feeds Burns. In comes Brent Burns with a chance. Drops it down. Crosby centers it. Everybody can't get to it. And Katarov sends it down. The question will be asked for countries like Belarus having foreign coaches, and a good friend of ours, Simon Semberg, has often made the point, he's former executive of the IIHF, that you may have short-term success with foreign coaches, but domestic coaches make the difference. As Crosby fires that wide.
And we talked earlier about how Belarus is starting a national team development program, and they're working on developing their players. They're also working on developing homegrown coaches. So it's not a foreign coach that comes in for a little bit of time and then he goes on to the next job. It becomes a real transient job.
Flips it back. Sagan runner scores on the backhand.
What a shot.
Tyler Sagan chips home that pass. And there's 7 for Canada.
Their third power play goal.
And that ties Sagan with Philip Forsberg for the goal-scoring lead in the tournament. That's his 8th.
Watch him scoop up this rebound as the puck's going to come to the front of the net. Sagan's on the far side, gets deflected, and he scoops it up over Kevin Lalonde. The pass is deflected once, and he just lobs it up over the glove. And
56 goals in 8 games for Canada.
And the crazy part is that's now their average. They just scored to their average right now. Amazing production. Too much for Belarus, too much for everyone they've played in this tournament so far.
But the hard games ahead.
Yes. The hard game, the semifinal game, is going to be a difficult one for them. As it should be.
You'll either face the Czechs, the host country, or you'll face the Finns with Pekka Rinne in goal. And a team with lots of experience at this level. The Finns have 9 members of their 2011 World Championship team on their roster.
Silver last year, 5 medals in the last 9 years here at the World Championships for the Finns, so a country used to success.
And players very familiar with each other, with the ice surface, and the kind of game it takes to win here. Toffoli has that knocked away, we got it right back up. 8:45 to go in the third period. Shots are 41-20 in favor of Canada. And Burns back with it, the top D in the 08 tournament. He wasn't nearly as refined then as he is now. Well, it's all relative, I suppose, but Gavrus it across the line. In comes Stas. Backhands it back in front. Oh, what a stop by Smith in tight on Sergei Droz. Best scoring chance of the game for Belarus. Turned away by Smith.
He stopped the breakaway. He made that stop. A good deflection earlier.
Now Gavrus takes the return pass. Fires again. Smith makes the stop as Droz takes a late whack at that. So good scoring chances for Belarus in the last minute or so. They did try to break the shutout.
Gavrus has had 3 really good chances. 2 of them in the last minute. There, Droz is stopped by Mike Smith with the right pad. A turnover and some good give-and-go work. Gets the puck to Gavrus in the slot. The 2012 New Jersey Devil draft pick is denied twice. Draws the 3rd time.
Yefenko with a long shot that goes off a leg. By the way, it was Rick Nash who shot the puck out of play in 08, not Ryan Getzlaf.
Both of those guys moving on to the conference finals.
Only took Nash and the Rangers Game 7 overtime again to do it. One of the closest playoff series in National Hockey League history.
Just think on the ropes in Game 5, and Chris Kreider scored with about 70 seconds left.
Yeah. It happens to every team that wins the cup. It happens to every team that wins here. You're going to face at some point adversity. That's chopped wide by Duchesne. Canada was down 3-0 after the first period of sweep.
And every team that wins, they're on not only adversity, but you're on the ropes. I mean, you're almost on life support here as we get a look at Tyler Sagan's 3 goals, 2 of them on the power play. The slapper that made it 4-0 there. A nice cycle pass from Couturier. And then he sees the open ice. He climbs into the scoring zone and scoops it up over Kevin Lalonde. But look at the teams left. I mean, you know, the Rangers are down 3-1. Tampa was down 3-2 to Detroit. Had to win the last couple of games to get themselves in. Chicago was in a battle with Nashville. They could easily have been down 3-1 in that series.
In comes Giroux now. Claude Giroux with a shot. Lalonde makes the stop. O'Reilly digging for the rebound. Scores! Ryan O'Reilly fires it home. He's got his 2nd. And it's now 8-0.
Three-point game for O'Reilly. Picked up an assist as well, and his excellent tournament continues. He got to the front of the net and dug around on the rebound. Wide open was Claude Giroux through the middle of the ice. Lalonde just can't find the rebound, and O'Reilly stays with the puck and is able to chip it into the open side.
So lots of reason for Canadian fans to cheer. And they can come back on Saturday for the semifinals. Awaiting either the Czech Republic or Finland. The United States, a winner over Switzerland earlier today, coming back from a 1-0 deficit to win 3-1. That was brought up by Kavershin. Evgeny Kavershin comes in, and his pocket picked there by Cody Eakin. And now Couturier falls. So the United States will face the winner of Russia and Sweden tonight in Ostrava. As that pass misfires for Stepanov. Stepanov taken down by Savard. And the referee tells him to play on as Savard brings it out. Savard, for Couturier, shoots, and off the arm of Kevin Lalonde it goes. 8 goals on 45 shots for Canada. And Hall has it back. Run back in the corner. Savard plays it ahead for Hall. And Taylor Hall works his way in. Still on it. Hall tried to backhand that in front. Hall from his knees. Still on it. Dropped it back. Crosby centers. Barry shoots. He missed wide. Crosby down to Hall. Taken in by Stasenko. Under 6 to go now in the 3rd period. Canada with an 8-0 lead. Canada put up 10 spots against Germany and Austria in the opening round of the tournament. And Barry has it go through his feet. Drops it back to Crosby. Crosby set out the game against Austria. And now a bouncing puck gets by Smith and back in behind the Canadian goal as Hamhuis has it. Top line on the ice for Belarus. And that shot by Lizavets goes wide. Duchesne up ahead for Ennis. Tyler Ennis with Matt Duchesne working in. And Duchesne works in the front of the goal, shovels it on net, and Lalonde makes the stop on it. Now Duchesne back out the other side. Spins and shoots. Lalonde makes another save. And the outlet pass from Draws got knocked away as well as Spezza winds in. In is Spezza. Shoots, scores! Jason Spezza lifts it in. It's 9-0 Canada.
Spezza's put up a pile of points here in the tournament, his 5th goal. You see him coming back through the middle of the ice. The puck's turned over. One fake. I mean, it's a fabulous shot by Spezza as he holds it, and then right under the bar. And Lalonde had committed on the slapper. He's not going to get back. And Canada's offensive roll continues.
This has been something. The combined score of Canada's last 3 games is 26-3. 7-2 over Switzerland, 10-1 over Austria, and 9-0 here this afternoon. Just past 6 o'clock local time, the puck goes over the glass with 4.5 to go in the 3rd period, and Canada's rolling again.
This hour.
Tyler Seguin now has 8 goals in this World Championship for Canada. Only 5 Canadian players have scored more. Danny Heatley holds the record with 12 back in 2008. Eric Lindros had 11 in '93 in Munich. Steve Yzerman 10 back in 1990. And Seguin guaranteed with a Canadian win today, at least, well, we'll play 2 more games. The semis, and then either the bronze or gold medal game on Sunday. Picked out now by Cody Eakin. He waits, feeds it back to Ekblad with a shot. He rattled that high to Foley back on it. Now bounced away from Muzzin. He has to retreat. And Muzzin just shrugs off Artem Demkov.
Brent Burns with another 4-point night for Canada. This time it includes his first 2 goals of the tournament. He picked up the assist on Spezza's goal that made it 9-0.
David Savard winds in. He shoots it wide. Savard right back on it. Fires, and the save made by Lalonde. David Savard of the Columbus Blue Jackets, one of 7 players in Columbus who played more than 70 games this year.
It's just such a mess early for Columbus. So much enthusiasm and expectation.
And Seguin drops it back.
Right from Ryan Johansson's contract holdout to the Ryan Murray injury. It's like they didn't even get out of camp with good news.
Now Stepanov in, shoots it, rattles around in front. That's played out. In fact, Johansson and Savard were the only 2 Blue Jackets to play 82 games.
You got to think one of these years things are going to go right, because there's like so many building blocks that are in place in Columbus.
Good goalie.
They're a hard team to play against. They've got skill.
All centers it, squirts out the other side.
It seems like it's right on the cusp to be successful.
You could argue, Ray, in the 2014 playoffs when Columbus played Pittsburgh, that 5-on-5, Columbus was at least Pittsburgh's equal. Now a bouncing puck moves in front, sitting there for a moment, unable to reach it, was Andre Stas, and Crosby brings it out. The Pittsburgh power play was the difference.
As it has been.
Yeah.
On many a night, although
Hall centers it. Crosby and Finn on that one. Sidney Crosby's going to take about a 10-foot slap shot there and just missed on it. He chuckles as he goes to the Canadian bench. Kaluzhny plays that around. 2 to go here in the 3rd period. So the United States has moved on to the semifinals, and Canada 2 minutes away from joining them as Sergei Kostitsyn has that blocked, and Spezza pokes it out. Ahead for McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon across the line, drops for Savard, in, shoots. And that's gloved by Kevin Lalonde.
Last year, Belarus finished 7th. This year, they lose in the quarterfinal game.
Probably 8th. It goes on goal difference and total points in the round robin, so Switzerland would have had a better record. Now McKinnon has it knocked away.
Teams will get a day off tomorrow.
Kulikov got buried there along the boards by Muzzin. And back out at center ice is Spezza along with McKinnon, and Spezza lifts it down. Yavenko swings that rink wide for Stepanov. His shot was blocked. And Toffoli picks it back up for Canada, plays it to the center ice. As Yavenko goes back with Eakin in on him. 1 minute to go now in the third period. Canada has scored 58 goals in 8 games. Demkov. Up for Volkov. Drops it back for Demkov. Centers it. That pass just missed Volkov. Now Demkov shoots it. Pinballs around in front. Ekblad plays that to the line and out. Toffoli has it. And Tyler Toffoli lifts it in as Canada makes a change in the final 30 seconds of the third period. Long lead pass. Goes to Draws. Sergei Draws tries to center it. Tyson Barrie broke it up. Now Draws back on it. Savard gets a stick on it. The final seconds wind down here. And Canada will end its drought in the quarterfinals at the World Championship. Advancing to the semis for the first time since 2009 with a 9-0 win over Belarus. So it's on to the semis on Saturday against either the Czech Republic or Finland.
Ladies and gentlemen, and we have the second semifinalist of the 2015 International.
So for Dave Lewis in his first year as the head coach of the national team of Belarus,
after a wonderful game,
the country of his origin, hands him a tough 9-0 loss. Mike Smith gets the shutout, stopping 24 shots. Smith was the losing goaltender for Canada's last quarterfinal appearance in 2013, a shootout defeat at the hands of Sweden. So now we'll have the post-game ceremonies. We'll have the players of the game for Canada and Belarus. In addition, Belarus's top 3 players of the tournament will be awarded, and then we'll have O Canada.
Ice Hockey World Championship. The prizes will be presented by Chairman of the Board of Hockey Canada, Mr. Joseph Drago, and Chairman of Belarusian Ice Hockey Association, Mr. Igor Rakovsky. Best player of Team Belarus, player number 88, Yevgeny Kovershin.
Evgeny Kovershin plays for Cherapovets in the KHL. That's a tough way to end it, but for Belarus getting to the quarterfinals, a big accomplishment.
And now, best player of Team Canada, player number 91, Tyler Seguin.
Seguin, a big part of a Canadian team that has scored more goals in this tournament than it ever has since setting National Hockey Leaguers in 1977.
A kromě nejlepších hráčů jak z týmu Kanady, tak z týmu Běloruska se tradičně budou vyhlašovat také 3 nejlepší hráči týmu, který už na mistrovství světa IIHF v ledním hokeji neuvidíme. Tedy týmu Běloruska. Ladies and gentlemen, now the awards of the 3 best players of each team of the tournament will be presented, a gift by the local organizing committee. The 3 best players award is selected by each team, and we are represented by the General Secretary of the Czech Ice Hockey Association, Mr. Martin Urban. Generální sekretář Českého svazu ledního hokeje, pan Martin Urban, předá ceny 3 nejlepším hráčům týmu Běloruska. The 3 best players of Team Belarus are number 17, Alexei Kaluzhny.
There is the 37-year-old Alexei Kaluzhny, who was a part of the Belarus team in 2002. That upset Sweden in the quarterfinals. Goalie Kevin Lalonde from Kingston, Ontario, former Belleville Bull, an adopted son of Belarus.
And the number 46, Andrei Kostitsyn.
And Andrei Kostitsyn, a 7-year veteran of the NHL, at the age of 30, would like to get back. Belarus bows out in the quarterfinals.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise up for the national anthem. Dámy a pánové, nyní vyslechněme hymnu vítězného týmu, tedy týmu Kanady.
The 2015 IIHF World Hockey Championship from Prague and Ostrava, Czech Republic is brought to you by RBC. Proud to support hockey in Canada to help more kids reach their someday. By Imperial Oil.